very lucky today. We're starting the Employees Only podcast presented by Mulcahy's, and our first guest is none other than a true legend, Cabana Bob Johnson, a true Long Beach legend in every sense of the word. He's a great friend to me. He's a great friend to Mulcahy's. Just an overall great guy. I'm ashamed to admit how many hours I've spent in Cabana. You too, Ruby, I think.
Great.
And we just want to hear about his history, his past, his career, and what goes into running Cabana in Long Beach, one of the greatest, most fun places you'll ever attend in your life. So to start, thanks for being here, Bob. So how did the Cabana deal go way back when, 15 years ago? How did it come?
How'd
you have the opportunity to open up?
Well, if people who know Long Beach over the years, the Cabana, before it was the Cabana, it was a restaurant called Baja.
Mm-hmm.
And that it was really what we are plus Speakeasy's bar area.
Oh, okay.
So I never had aspirations to be a bar owner or a restaurant owner at all.
Yeah.
But my wife reminds me that when we did ever talk about anything like that, I would say, well, if there's one spot, a spot that I love that I never think about, it's if this place ever somehow became available. Turns out that, this restaurant Baja was two storefronts owned by two different landlords. And for whatever reason, the owner of Baja scaled down to just one side, and the Cabana, the restaurant dining room and bar area that is now, was vacant. We were approached by some friends of ours about whether or not we were interested in opening it up. And these were a couple of former managers of the Baja restaurant. Mm-hmm. Honestly, when we opened, it was my wife's ambition and idea to do this with friends. I had very little to do with the Cabana when it first opened.
Really?
I was on the New York City Fire Department. Tracy, my wife, was doing pharmaceuticals. We had two young girls. And I said, well, like I mentioned, I love the location. If this is something you'd want to do, let's go for it. So that's how we started. And that was 2005. And at the time, Baja was still right next door to us, what is now Speakeasy. Mm-hmm. And he had his Mexican-American menu. We opened with an American pub-style menu when our first summer that we opened in 2005. Mm-hmm. About a year later, he went out of business completely. And the day he went out of business, we switched to the Mexican-American menu. We got the Taylor machines for the Frozens, the frozen margarita recipe. A lot of the old Baja employees came over and worked for us. And again, still that first year, I was really a behind-the-scenes guy. My wife was on the floor working with her friends, and I'd come and go. I was, as Tim would probably guess, I was into the music from the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I was pushing our partners and my wife to start booking bands and start working on live music, which is what I love. Yeah. So I met some resistance, understandably, from that. But, as far as cost of having a band, having band space, and what we were looking for. But, we started with 2 and 3 piece bands. And then over the years, we got the okay to make the parking lot seating available. We moved music outside, and things took off. Tracy and I have been on our own without a partner since about 2008. And, still my focus as an owner is to make sure that everyone that shows up there remembers, they had a good time, they listened to great music. A philosophy I have for Long Beach is if you give them a stiff drink and a big plate, they'll forgive almost everything else.
That is true, yeah.
So,
Speaking of stiff drinks and big drinks, just so everyone knows, obviously because of the pandemic, Cabana, Mulcahy's, all the bars are closed. Bob is doing to-go courts of frozen margaritas, frozen Miami Vices. I didn't have an eye-opener this morning, but Ruby made us our own eye-openers. So go visit,
Ruby.
Go visit Cabana, get a quart of margaritas. They're excellent.
Yeah, right now we're in the west end of Long Beach, and we are Open Thursday through Sunday, and of course Taco
Of
Tuesdays.
course. They sell
Um,
taco kits on Tuesday. Call them
yeah,
up.
we have a great deal on to goes. We have a party pack for the weekend. We do the taco survival survivor kit on Tuesdays, and
We'll put
we
the
deliver
number
them
and the
all
links,
around.
everything in this
Yeah,
bio
yeah.
somewhere. We'll put all the socials and the number. It, it's funny when you talk about opening up because usually the husband wants to open a bar and the wife's like, nah, you just want to go and hang out, drink, and blah, blah, blah. So it's funny that Tracy was the one that pushed you.
Yeah,
That's
like I
pretty.
said, like our original partners were the former managers of Baja, and
Mm-hmm.
it was Tracy's friend
Yeah.
that approached us, and I said, "Let's go for it." I was a bartender,
Yeah.
my whole life. I tended bar in Rockaway at Connolly's and a bunch of other
Yeah.
places, the beach house in Rockaway and stuff. And with a New York City fireman schedule, you have the time to work
The bartender. Yeah.
a late night, a couple of days a week. So it worked out good.
Yeah.
But it was not my idea. I did not come up with the idea to open the Cabana.
Did you ever own or manage any bars before Cabana? What?
No, just bartended.
Just bartender.
I was just a
Beautiful.
bartender. I have a tough time saying no to making money and having fun at the same
Yeah,
time.
don't we all? If you could do both successfully, then I mean, more power to you,
Yeah,
and that's the best. And you've been in business 15 years. That's
yeah,
amazing. Most bars, I think most bars close within 3 years. So
yeah.
I
It
think,
switches over a lot, and the West End is a very seasonal town, as we know. We rock it.
yeah,
Um, we kill it from Memorial Day to Labor Day. We got a couple of big days in between, like Irish Day and Cinco de Mayo.
yeah,
But it's a tough off season. It's
yeah,
becoming more of a town where people aren't around as much in the winter. So it's funny when this just started. We hadn't been delivering up until 6 months ago. We just started working on a delivery to go business, and this pandemic hit, and now thank God we had a little
yeah,
bit of experience going into where we are right now.
yeah. So that's an interesting story. I was surprised by that. So it sounds like it really came down to location, 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 like
That's
people
it.
said. So
Yeah,
And
that's
also, Bob,
it's
I feel like
really strange occurrences.
I feel like you do well in the off season as well. You're definitely a West End locals favourite. I know that we're there year round, and you guys do an awesome job
Yeah,
in the off season. As seasonal as it is. Do you think there's any trick
yeah.
to that to getting the locals in?
Well, my thing is, I mean, I really got to stress knowing your neighborhood.
mm-hmm,
Hiring local people,
mm-hmm,
finding out what the your town that surrounds you is interested in, and remembering the people in January, remembering the people that are there all winter when you need them. When
yeah,
you see them in July and there's a wait, make sure you
take care of
strike
them.
up conversation, see if you can get them a drink at the bar. Make sure their reservation gets taken care of because, in my opinion, too many people just think we're gonna crush it during the winter, and they don't. You got to get to know your customers and the people who live around you. They're the
Yeah,
ones that are going to get you through February and March. So
and that's definitely true to everyone listening. Bob takes care of us all year round, and like Ruby said, like there's certain bars you don't go to after Labor Day, but Cabana seems to be one that locals and everyone goes to all year round. It's funny. It's one of the smaller bars, but it
yeah,
seems to be like one of the locations or bars that's like the real pillar of the West End community. Probably because you've
yeah. I
been there a
mean,
while, but you want to speak on that a little bit?
well, we expanded our outside seating. Oh, it says Lord's connect. I'm not connected
You
with
good?
it.
Yeah, you good.
We expand. The outside seating. Those months, you have to create a nest egg to get you through the winter. Days like Irish Day are so important to the West End, just so you can prepare for the slower months and be able to keep people employed.
Yeah,
You don't want to go every winter and have to, the end of the winter, have to look for new employees.
hmm,
Those people work their butts off for you all summer. You have to take care of them when it's slower. And days like Irish Day and things like that give you a little nest egg to get you through the winter months. Uh,
for
you
sure.
know, it's hard. This year we closed Mondays and Wednesdays after Thanksgiving, and I was still able to get enough hours for my core, kitchen employees and people that count on that money all year round. I was able to keep them employed all year and also cut some of my costs.
Yeah, sure.
So
So,
you know,
so yeah. Like I said, you've been in business like 15 years. This could be a
yeah.
tough one, but what do you think is your most proud moment as an owner of Cabana in Long Beach?
Well, I think we're about to surpass it, but our 10-year anniversary party, I think that was Timmy when you first moved into Long Beach, I think.
Yeah, yeah,
Just having known that we made it 10 years
yeah,
was, a huge moment. And now being able to watch my daughters work there and basically start the transition to them running the show in the near future, I hope.
yeah,
That it's real, it makes me real proud to think we've been there that long and that, your little kids who used to carry in their car seat are now the ones that are working the floor.
yeah.
It's
That's
a
so
nice
funny.
thing.
Are they
You
excited
know,
to do that, Bob? Your daughters? Are they ready to take the reins? Is that what they want
oh,
to
you
do?
can't force anything on. My older daughter Caroline's really involved now.
That's
My
awesome.
younger daughter is still, a little young to get more involved in the managerial, but they're both keen to be involved for sure.
That's awesome.
Don't teach them too much, Bob. They'll throw you out one day or something.
Don't you say that.
You'll come back. They'll change the keys or something. You never know.
Hey, as long as I get a drink at the bar, I'll be happy.
Yeah, yeah.
But
It's funny when you talk about the opening or the 10-year party. I remember I moved to Long Beach like that week or like right around there. And I lived right on Georgia Avenue, right up the block, and it was the 10-year party. And it was just so
yeah,
awesome. You could tell how proud you guys all were. And yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. And then
yeah.
fast forward
There's a
5 years
picture of
later.
hanging. Irish Day is a big every year, like I mentioned, but there's a drone shot of the restaurant that I have hanging up from an Irish Day, and just looking at the crowd, definitely makes you feel proud
For
and a
sure.
sense of accomplishment that
Yeah.
you were able to last this long. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of it for me is the fun.
Yeah.
People ask me all the time. I grew up in Rockaway Beach. Oh, you got to open a cabana in Rockaway.
Hmm.
We love to go to Puerto Rico. Oh, a cabana in Rincon, Puerto Rico would be great. I got my one headache and my one love in Long Beach,
Exactly.
and I'm real happy with that.
Yeah.
I'm a retired fireman. I have, you know, uh, I have a pension coming in. This is what I do to keep busy, to have fun, to meet people,
Yeah.
to create employment, and you know, uh, it's not. I fear my great fear is being bored, and I don't
Yeah.
think I'm ever going to be bored as long as I have this place.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. Yeah, it's funny you said about a bar in like Rincon or something. My dad always said like he can't ever imagine opening a place that you can't drive by every day or
Exactly.
see. Like you don't know who's
Yeah.
stealing. You don't know what's going on when
Exactly.
you're in New York and in the bars in Puerto Rico.
Yeah. Cameras can only get you so far, but if you're not hands on, as you know, Tim, if you're not hands on, like when I go to Mulcahy's, you'll meet me at the door, no matter, even though you're talking 10 times the population,
Yeah.
but you make sure you meet me or a friend of mine that I might send there, and that's what local people want out of their local establishment.
For sure.
They want to say, I know that guy, he'll take care of me.
Yeah.
Um, and people who aren't hands on, if you come to a town like Long Beach, and I'm sure Wantor's the same, and you have a Manhattan attitude, and you start measuring your drinks or getting top price on everything, the town will eat you up.
Yeah.
They'll eat
Especially
you up
Long Beach.
fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I grew up bartending in a real small local place, and I learned a lot from the person I worked for, and that's what resonates in my mind. That's what
Who who'd you
keeps
work
me.
for? What?
The bar is Connolly's. It's on 95th Street in Rockaway, and he's only open from Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's a basement bar. I don't know if you've ever been there,
No,
but
no. I like to
it's a
visit
great little spot. We'll have to shoot over when all
for
this
sure.
nonsense
Who
is
was
over.
the owner there?
A guy by the name of Jeff Aquilante. He's still the owner.
That's
He's
awesome.
got some people who run the place for him now, but he lives upstairs. I always say I was the richest kid in Rockaway growing up because I lifeguarded 6 days a week. I got off the beach, took a shower, and I jumped behind the bar.
That's
So
perfect.
I went away to college with full pockets and a
Probably a lot of
smile on my
cash, right?
yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Did,
Not like now, right?
yeah, yeah,
Now it's all card. Now it's
yeah.
all
All
plastic.
credit card, no fun. Um, Real quick, did you bartend at all up in Cortland? Because I imagine Cortland would be a
No,
fun
I was a
time.
rugby player. Rugby players were lucky if they were allowed in the bar. No, you know.
Yeah. I have a feeling you got in though every now and then.
Yeah, we got in. I actually lived in an apartment above a bar called the Dark Horse in Cortland when I was there, which was 84 to 89, the 5 year plan. But no, I worked my butt off all summer. I went up to college and I wasn't looking to work up there. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
looking to,
yeah,
get by classes and play rugby. That's what I went to school for.
for sure. So you've been around, obviously, as we said. What piece of advice would you give an aspiring bar owner or a young person who's thinking about opening up a place nowadays? Say
Well,
post pandemic.
you mean in a small town like Long Beach?
Small town in Long Beach or anywhere. Like, what if you could give one piece of advice from your experience? Like, what do you think that would be?
The most the, the most important thing to me is knowing your customers. Knowing, I'm not great with names, but I remember faces, and be a hands-on, walk table to table, talk to people, find out what went wrong with their experience, find out what was great about it, um, and be able to take criticism
Yeah,
and be able to change things that you're doing wrong. We've all made mistakes. I've made a million, and if you let it get to you, like, oh, and don't learn from what they're saying, then you know you, you're in charge of your own fate.
yeah,
And you not don't look to make money to optimize or maximize profits every single day. There's times, Tim, where we have bands
hmm,
that we probably took a hit on the night,
yeah,
but the majority of your customers left saying that was a great time.
yeah.
I always
Great
have a
band.
good time there,
Hmm.
and that's what gets you through the rest of the year. And when people are going out saying, "Where are we going to go?" Well, they're going to go to the guy that donates to the local charities. They're going to go to the guy that hires people from the neighborhood,
Yeah,
um, and they'll see right through you if you're in it to make a quick buck.
for sure.
You know,
Yeah,
I had people. I was upset um, when the pandemic started. We had a good Sunday crowd before the shutdown,
hmm,
right around St. Patrick's Day,
yeah,
and people right on Facebook saw the crowd, and no one knew the extent of what we're living through right now. But people
exactly.
saying that guy's out just to make one last buck before this happens. And
Yeah, they
I'm
don't
like,
know you. Yeah,
if you know anything about me, that's not the case.
yeah. And I have to say, it was a great Sunday. I was there. And it was, you had the two Irish kids, and thank God that was the last time we were allowed out because it seems like 10 years
Yeah,
ago by now.
yeah. Well, that picture ended up on Facebook,
Yeah,
and
it's crazy.
I'm also resolved to know that not everybody's gonna like you.
Yeah,
Like 80% of people are gonna love the music, and you're gonna have that group that you know moved into a commercial area and then is upset about
exactly.
decisions they made. And they're gonna blame me or you
Yeah, yeah.
or a restaurant owner or
They said it's like when people get a good deal on a house by an airport, then complain about the
yeah.
plane noise.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. That's
yeah,
how it is.
how do you think, or like, when did your big, huge love of music start? Like, were you ever in bands? Like, how did this
No,
all
I have
get
no
started?
musical talent whatsoever. I have two instruments I do play, and that is the tambourine and the kazoo.
I
That's
think,
about it.
I think you
I
got.
started going to concerts. Let me
Mhm.
tell you one thing that was a big influence on me as far as music was, I mentioned I was a rugby player, but I was the president of the Rockaway Rugby Men's Club for 20 years. And we needed to generate money to survive as a club. We play down in Fort Tilden in Gateway National Park, but the fees, the league fees, the referee fees, the insurance fees, we, my friend Kermit Egan and John McCann, a few other guys from Rockaway Rugby Club, we devised, we had space, we had a field. We started throwing parties, and always been in tune with the local music scene, and I learned how to throw a big party when I was about 18 years old,
Yeah.
with a lot of mistakes, you know, usually not enough security. Plenty of times, as I remember parties where we ran out of beer, but I gained the experience because my love of rugby made me do whatever I could to have the club survive. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
another small town, very similar to Long Beach. So I always had that in the back of my mind when we opened the Cabana. Was like on Irish Day, people would say, "Why are you gonna pay a band like, just an example, Shillelagh Low when you're gonna be crowded anyway?"
Yeah.
That's not the case. The
Yeah.
case is people are gonna choose where they're gonna go on a big day,
Mm-hmm.
and they're gonna go to the place that provides them with the biggest opportunity to have a good
Yeah,
time.
the best
You know?
entertainment.
And Bob, on that
Yeah.
subject of live music, I heard a story that you're credited with bringing the legendary jar sticks to the West End. Can you talk about that story? Is that how the
Yeah,
story
a lot
goes?
of people take credit for joysticks. Like we got
I know you're a big supporter of live music, and there's a couple on the roster at Cabana that we all love to see. But
Yeah,
of course, with jar being a staple,
that is a true story, and
you've obviously got an eye for it.
well, I mean, when you're as good as Ja, it's not brain surgery. But I was in Penn Station waiting for the train to Long Beach, and I heard some reggae music over towards the 109, and I ventured over there, and just I ended up letting a train go by, got myself another brown bag, and I listened to him for about an hour, amazed. I remember waking my wife up when I came home, and she's like, "Someone in the train station? All right, honey, tell me about it tomorrow. Go to bed." Long story short, it took me a long time to get in touch with him. I grabbed his card that night, but lost it, of course. But when I did, I reached out to him, and that was over 10 years ago. I'd say now that
really.
Josh been coming down playing.
Wow.
The first time he walked in the door, he had the entire restaurant on their feet, singing along with him. And now he's doing great. He's going down to Rincon. He's playing in Rockville Center and, all over the place, Manhattan. He's just a tremendous talent. So I can't say that, I all I can say is I got him to come to Long Beach because wherever he ended
hell
up,
of a combination. Jar
Yeah.
sticks, Long Beach,
yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. And,
No, take credit. I mean, every place in Long Island, I think he told me one time in the summer he did 6 gigs in one day. I'm surprised he had a voice the next day. He did like 3 bars, 2 weddings, engagement parties. So, yeah, you're
but
like
it's
agent.
really amazing the amount of talent that's around here.
Yeah.
It's like Ken and Tonic right now, the
Mhm.
Noisy Neighbors,
Yeah.
Dave Kellen. I mean, Dave Kellen ended up on James Taylor's Instagram a couple of weeks ago. I mean, there's so much talent.
Yeah, Bob,
that-
you are like boots to the ground. You get the best young talent. Like you always find them first. The 2 Irish kids, what are their names? Those kids are awesome.
They call 2 degrees.
Yeah, they're great.
Well, people ask me about that. How do you find this or that? I say I listen to people.
Yeah.
When someone comes in and raves about a band or something new that's going on, I listen.
Mhm.
And you can go on social media, on YouTube, or onto that
Yeah.
musician site and hear them, and that if it's a fit for your place, your establishment. I also have so many music friends like Denny McCarthy from Shillelagh Law, Seamus
Yeah.
Keen from Arrowbacks, where if he's calling me or texting me and saying, "Hey, this guy is good," I believe him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen. 2 Degrees, I got a call from Seamus. He said, "Bob, you gonna love these guys."
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think twice. I said, "Tell me when they're available."
For sure.
I'm gonna take your word for it. You're a professional, excelling in your own field. If you're giving me a bit of advice, I'm gonna listen to you. And listen to everyone knows I'm a deadhead.
Yeah.
If Adam Schneider from Long Beach Live Music, he tells me about a band, I go and I get them.
Yeah.
And as far as negotiating, I'll give any band the opportunity. We charge this amount of money. Okay, great. I'll give it to you. If it's worth it for me and worth it for you, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
I don't get into nickel and diamond people. I don't get into, um, like uh, not taking a shot over a couple $100. We'll give it a shot. If it didn't work out, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
This might be too small a place for you, or whatever the reason.
Yeah.
But listen to what the people coming up to you have to say.
Exactly. And
it
that's
doesn't
another
work every time, but usually it works.
Yeah, that's another testament to you being there, you being in the community. Like, it's not just for work and it's not just for fun or whatever it is. Like, yeah, you learn things being in the streets, and like even here at Mulcahy's, like I'll find bands via you, and thank you. Like, you're always generous. Like, give them a call, give them a shot. You're never like, no, they're mine. Or like, I'll go out to Rockville Center and find a band. Like
that.
I think you really have to be in the community, and you have to like go out basically and see these things. You can't just
And
don't
forget that these musicians have to make a living too. So when someone says like, oh, my musicians, I don't want to play in other local people. You're not thinking about the guy that's entertaining a crowd and what he needs to survive and make money. So, I'm not if you play the Cabana, you can't play here type person.
Yeah, for sure.
I understand people who are like that, and that's their decision. But I firmly believe people enjoy playing the Cabana because it's a laid back atmosphere. I'm not putting any pressure on them.
No.
And, that's what it's all about.
It's like back to Jostics again. He'll be like, yeah, I'm playing from 10 to 12 a.m. And then it's 2:30 in the morning and he's still jamming out and he's still having a great time.
I call him the Pied Piper because he plays at 10 o'clock on Saturdays for me. And wherever he is before, he plays a lot of local places. He plays Beach House and other places. But when he leaves, he's heading to me and he's got people following him.
I walked down the street with him one time. It took us an hour and a half to get a block and a half. Everyone's stopping him. Ja. It's like.
But that's a tribute to his personality as well as music. I mean, you're never gonna meet a more personable, loving, all around great guy on top of the music. I mean, he's
shout out to Ja, by the way.
Wherever you are,
wherever you are, Ja, we love you. We miss you.
We know you're not far.
Yeah, we're gonna get you on the podcast soon, right after Bob.
That'd be great.
Or we could do a Bob and Ja combo one day. It's gonna be awesome.
Like I said, I'm on the tambourine or the kazoo.
Yeah, I'll play the bongos, and that's about it.
But Tim, also a tribute to you. What you're doing is a family-run business. That's what I'm working on, and that's what it's all about. Is that we're in it for the fun and the love of it as much as everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone knows. Every bar owner knows that people look at you like you must be a millionaire because it's crowded a couple of days a year. And the other thing is people passing through Long Beach, remind them it's not July all year.
Yeah.
You come through in July, you're like, wow, look at this. I always used to say, every July people ask me if I'm rich, and every January they ask me if I'm going out of business.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's a game we play, and
yeah, they forget there's bills on Monday morning and Tuesday morning in February. It's not
exactly. The most important thing is we're staying busy, we're having a good time, and living life. That's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I have to give you credit, Bob. I think you could speak on this more, but I think your fun-loving attitude. I was going to ask you what makes Cabana so comfortable and welcoming, but you've kind of been answering it this whole time. You want to expand on that just a little bit?
Back to my friend Jeff Aquilante, his laid back philosophy where I grew up bartending was he wasn't big on uniform. He wasn't big on how you approach your business. He just created a laid back environment where people were comfortable.
Yeah.
And I copied that along with his a few of his frozen drink recipes.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a good point. Bob, that was one of my notes that I scribbled down in the process of this was what is the secret ingredient in a Cabana frozen marg? Because I know that it's a common discussion in the West End.
The secret ingredient.
Do we want to know?
The There's lots of
A
tequila.
lot of tequila. I think that's what it is.
Make it a stiff drink. I would speak to somebody, about a recipe, and they'd say, "Well, you don't need that much tequila. You could, for another $14, add another bottle into your mix, and
Yeah.
you'll have it." They call them crackeritas.
Simple as
I would
that.
say the the two best cures for a hangover are a dive in the ocean and a Cabana margarita. Those are the two.
Amen.
That is the truth, for sure.
Hopefully not both.
Yeah. I've taken friends there. I'm like, have a frozen margarita, and like I've been guilty of it too. And like they're good, or like the Miami Vices, they're good, and all of a sudden you're like 1 to 2.5 deep, and then like you get up, you're like, whoa.
They're deceiving.
Then it's time,
They're deceiving.
to slow it down. Yeah.
The taste makes them deceiving.
Exactly. Don't be cheap in life. Don't be cheap. Give your customers, appreciate them, and they'll keep coming back,
And it's funny that translate because like time on bar is like a thing. The more time you have someone in your bar, for everyone out there, and the more comfortable they are, they're gonna spend money. Like I've never been to Cabana. Like, oh my gosh, did you see the price of that?
Yeah.
And that's why you stay there for a while, and you're gonna spend money when you're most comfortable. Like that's why people are home on bed on Amazon and buying stuff left and right because they're comfortable, it's easy, and they're spending money.
Exactly.
That's
like I said, you don't have to maximize profits every day you're out there.
Every single time.
Create an environment where people say that's a go-to place.
Yeah. And I give you credit, Bob. You definitely have, for sure.
Paid off for you,
Cheers,
for
brother.
sure.
Likewise.
Yeah. One quick funny story, like to talk about staying at Cabana long. I remember you were probably there. It was our buddy James's birthday, and it was like February. And this was back when it used to snow in the winter. It was a couple of years ago. And it was like snowing. We were like, it's James's birthday. What are we going to do? We're like, let's go to Cabana for like brunch. It was like 11, 10 a.m., something like that. We did the brunch specials. Great deal. We're all having a great time. Fast forward, it's like 15 hours later, and we're still there. Because there's nothing to do. It's snowing outside. And the funny thing about that is, and the staff and you fell right into how funny it was that we were there for a while. We sang happy birthday to James 3 times that day. The staff kept turning over, so they didn't know that the staff 6 hours ago did it. But that's just one little story of the fun you could have at Cabana and the comfortable vibes that you have created there.
Thanks, Timmy. I appreciate it. But that also comes with youth. When you get to be my age, you can't do the 15-hour days.
I know, yeah. I don't think I could do it now. I think it was when I first moved there like 5 years ago. So with all the fun and games, besides global pandemics, because I hope this is a one-off, what do you feel, what is the struggle in the bar business that you didn't foresee when you opened? Like what are some things that like stink and that you wouldn't know unless you owned a bar that are a downside of the business?
Well, I mean, the disappearance of cash, that's really, and that's why, again, I really feel for these musicians because a lot of them will play 4 nights a week for $150 or $200, and now their venues are gone.
Yeah.
So, I didn't foresee the world changing to a plastic world the way it did, and, I think Long Beach in itself, I didn't expect to change to where, you're seeing these big houses built with, not a lot of parking, less parking than ever around. And, as the town changes, you have to change your business. So that's kind of why we started moving into delivery. Because when things like DoorDash and Uber Eats appear, people are more likely to say, let's call someplace and just stay in tonight. It's cold out, it's raining or whatever. So, you got to change with the times. And also, I didn't foresee the health kick. I have a daughter who's a vegan, and, we're working on doing things where there's groups of people that will go to places that have more vegan or more vegetarian options.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So those are things I didn't foresee happening, so, keep your ears open, and change with things as they go along,
I think if you say like this is the way we do things, like I think like you'll be out of business soon.
Yeah, I agree.
You definitely got to change with the times. I think tequila's gluten free though, because I try to do
You would know.
I would know. I think it is.
Yeah, well, thank God for tequila, right?
Yeah, seriously. All right, we have a couple more questions. Thanks for joining us, Bob. Once again, we're here with Bob Johnson at Cabana. Call them for their to-go specials. They have frozen quartz to go, eye openers to go, Taco Tuesday kits. They got everything you need. We'll put the number in the bio here after we film, or visit them at Cabana LBNY on Instagram and keep Bob afloat over there as
Much
he is.
obliged.
And good stuff too. I mean, great deals. You get a quart of margaritas to go, and the beach is open, so you could grab one and go down to the beach.
Yeah, no boardwalk, but
No boardwalk, but sneak by right on Georgia Avenue, right by Cabana. Head to the beach.
yeah, 1034 West Beach Street.
There it is. So we have a couple more questions. If you could, Ruby, you follow this.
Well, Bob, we've been talking a lot about, obviously, we're in, a crazy time right now. And I feel like the only way to be hopeful is to kind of look forward to, the eventual return, whenever that may be. So we've just got a couple of fun questions. But if you were to picture kind of like your ultimate related to this time, return party, I think we probably could guess a couple of these, but who would be your dream headliner and opening act? We're talking the Bob Johnson Cabana return party.
Dead or alive?
Lockdown's over. Again, I think I've got an idea, but who would your lineup be?
Any artist, dead or alive, no money, they're playing for free.
And perhaps some VIP guests again, like 3 VIP guests.
3 VIP guests, dead or alive.
3 VIP guests. You're talking about famous people too, local people.
Anyone.
It could be someone you know that passed away.
Who's going to be the best guest for the party?
Jesus, Abe Lincoln, anyone you want.
Gary Garcia, hands down.
I figured.
Yeah, I'm a big Grateful Dead guy, but if ever I could get Jerry Garcia or anyone, Bob Weir, Phil Lesh, anyone from the Grateful Dead to do an appearance at the Cabana would be absolutely primo. Locally or in our realm of this world, Shillelagh Law has always been. I've known them since I was 20, and like the rugby parties I spoke of earlier, they were the ones that helped us establish that as the big Rockaway St. Patrick's Day. You have Shillelagh Law, you're guaranteed the crowd. They've always they're personal friends. They're great guys, and
another shout out to Shillelagh. We miss you guys. They're the best. If you've never seen them, go check them out there. I skipped a U2 concert, by the way, for Shillelagh Law concert. I just want to throw that out there. We had tickets awesome. U2 at MSG, but I think it was Shillelagh who was playing Cabana. I was like, I'll go to Shillelagh.
Yeah.
All right, so we have the Grateful Dead is playing the parking lot, we assume, right?
Oh, man.
Who's the opening act for the Grateful Dead? It's a tough one.
That's a tough call. I would, again, I love the local bands. I would want locals to open it. Kin and Tonic, also now known as Odyssey Cassette, is a local band that's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. Evan Kudria was just on American Idol.
Yeah, he's excellent.
He's a very good friend and performer. Their band Odyssey Cassette is great. Mm-hmm. Dave Kellen the Dave Kellen band is phenomenal. Let me not forget, if I had to open for the Dead, and I would love to have the Bogmen.
Oh, yeah.
Another local band that was signed by Arista. They're all personal friends. I'd have to go with the Bogmen.
Hey, everyone. Unfortunately, our audio got cut off a little bit at the end there, but we hope you enjoyed our first episode of Employees Only. And once again, thank you to Cabana Bob Johnson for joining us.
Thank you so much for joining us in Employees Only, presented to you by Mulcahy's Pub and Concert Hall. Please be sure to follow us on Instagram at Mulcahy's Pub. The other socials aren't as important because I put most of my time and effort into the Insta.